I couldn't deal with this jewelry drawer anymore, so I came up with a super simple fix that actually worked. So for this project, I headed straight to the picture frame aisle at the thrift store. I popped out the backing and the artwork and the glass, and I was just left with the frame. Then I grabbed my trusty rub and buff in an antique gold color and brushed a light layer over the surface of my picture frame. Once your frame is dry, it's time to turn it into an organizer. I'm using thin jewelry wire here. You could try string too, and I'm stringing it from side to side across the back of the frame. My plan was to hot glue the ends of the wire in place, but I really lucked out here, and this picture frame had little metal staples to hold the glass in place, and those staples happened to be in the perfect spots. So I wrapped my wire around the staples instead, but hot glue will totally work. And now for the backing, which is where the real magic happens and gives this project a lot of personality. I found this gorgeous deep red velvet drawer liner on Amazon, and the second I saw it, I knew it was exactly the vibe I was going for with this project. I cut my drawer liner down to size and hot glued it to the back of my frame and instantly fell in love with the look. Then it was time to hang this up. And since this is a picture frame, it already had all the hanging hardware I needed ready to go on the back, which is nice. Necklaces, dangly earrings, hoops, everything displays really beautifully on this frame. My jewelry collection isn't all that fancy, but let me tell you, it looks downright regal on this organizer. And the best part, no more digging through that chaotic jewelry drawer. This thrifty project turned my messy jewelry collection into a beautifully organized display, and it freed up a whole drawer in the process.
I have this small 24-inch wide sink that really doesn't allow me to fit much on its surface at all, so I ran to the hardware store and picked up some wood. Once I got home, I determined how high I wanted my shelf to be. I have a pretty high faucet, so I needed to make mine pretty tall. You'll adjust yours to the height that's appropriate for you. I cut my wood to the appropriate length. Then I simply placed the two pieces of wood together using an L bracket. I didn't want the rough edge of the wood to show on top of my shelf, so I made sure to attach the L bracket in a way that the rough edge stayed underneath the top part of the shelf. I set it into place and started playing around with how I wanted to organize my things on this new shelf. You could also, of course, finish this to your desired look. You could stain the wood or paint it or whatever goes great in your bathroom.
This is one of the coolest upcycles I've done lately. I had this old chess game sitting around, but it was missing some pieces, and honestly, it's not much fun to play chess if you're missing some pawns or a knight. But rather than toss it in the trash, I thought, why not make this into something functional? Your first step is to figure out how you want to arrange your chess pieces across the board. Once you know where you want them, drill small pilot holes into the chessboard and also into the bottoms of each of the pieces that you're using. And then from the back side of the board, drive those small screws up through the board and into the base of your chess piece. Now, once all of your pieces are attached, it's time to hang this up on the wall. Now that it's on the wall, do you see how these pieces look like little hooks? This project transforms an old, forgotten chessboard into a really clever jewelry organizer. You can hang necklaces on the hooks and even some bracelets, and you have the coolest display piece for them.
Grab some 2x2s to increase your bathroom storage in a few easy steps. I cut 4 2x2s to 6 feet each and cut 6 to 19 inches, and I cut another 6 to 4 inches each. I sanded all the boards, then used my Craig jig to drill pocket holes in each side of the smallest 2x2. I secured the 4-inch boards to the 19-inch boards with pocket screws and wood glue to make a rectangle. I repeated this 2 more times to end up with 3 rectangles. I marked down 2 inches from the top of each 6-foot 2x2 and used a countersink bit to pre-drill the long 2x2 to the rectangle frame. I filled the screw holes with wood filler on the front side only and sanded the excess off smooth once dry. I wiped, cleaned, and painted the frame with Benjamin Moore color wrought iron. While that was drying, I sanded cedar 1x6 boards, ripped them down to size, and sealed them with 2 coats of polyurethane. I used a brad nailer to secure the cedar boards to the top of each rectangle base and slid the shelf over my toilet for the most modern functional bathroom storage. I absolutely love how this turned out, and it can be completely customized for your bathroom. I hope this inspired you to create your own beautiful storage for over the toilet.
Today we are going to make a 2-tier accessory storage tray, which is perfect for your bathroom. And we're going to use these affirmation boards that I got at the dollar store, so it's really inexpensive. We're going to grab some paint, and I'm using chalk paint. And I love chalk paint because you don't have to prep anything. You're going to want to put at least 2 coats on all your boards. And then we're going to let one side dry, and that didn't take very long. And then we're going to paint the inside of each one of these signs. Next, you're going to put together your 2 tiers. So grab your hot glue, or you can use liquid nails, and you're going to take the smaller square and add that on either side of your top tray. And it doesn't matter what you have. You may find a rectangle, you may have a square. I just happen to find squares. Next, I grabbed a small wood sign, and that's going to be like a little tray that fits under our other tier. You can use whatever you want to line your tray, but I happen to have some cane from another DIY project, and I cut that to fit. But you can use whatever you want in your tray, like scrapbook paper or fabric or some wallpaper. It's really whatever is your style. Next, I added a bead of glue with my hot glue gun. And because the cane is much thicker than, like, say, paper or cloth, I used a glue gun as opposed to Mod Podge or some other glue adhesive. And I put that in there and made sure that was snug. And because this cane is so thick, I needed to make sure it was secure in the center. So I grabbed my glue gun and put a little bead underneath the holes. And a trick I use is I take a glue stick to hold it down. Now we're going to make the finished edge a little more refined by grabbing some jute. You can use twine, you can use ribbon, whatever you want. But we are going to put that all around the perimeter of the rattan to make it look more finished. And I just grabbed my hot glue, I added the jute throughout the bottom, and just did that all the way around until I got to the other side. And again, you can use whatever you want for your trim, whatever is your style. Now it's time to do the top tray, and we're going to do this one a little different. We're going to use some scrapbook paper. So grab some Mod Podge and a sponge brush, and put a thin layer along the bottom. And then grab some scrap paper. I used something that was like a map. I thought it looked so cute. It looked very worldly, and I loved the whole vibe of it. And then smooth that down, and then to make it cohesive with the bottom tray, we're going to put the lining on the edge of the jute as well, which really makes this look so finished and refined, and it adds just a little extra detail. And again, you can use whatever you want, whatever is your style. A ribbon would look really pretty, even like a little bit of rhinestones, whatever's your style. And just put that all the way around. And remember the trick I had with the glue stick, so you don't burn your fingers. You could do the same thing on this part. Before we add our final details, you're going to want to seal your entire tray and the bottom tray by using an acrylic sealer. Then we are going to grab 2 brass handles, and we're going to glue those to each side. Now you don't have to do this part, but I thought it made it look really finished and high-end looking. And again, I used the hot glue, which is the Gorilla Glue, which I totally love. And we're going to do that on both sides. And after we do that, we are ready to style this adorable 2-tier tray. Are you ready to see the finished piece? This turned out so beautiful. It literally is better than I had imagined when I was coming up with the idea, and I was in the dollar store looking at these wood pieces. It's 2-tiered stand. It's a perfect place to keep accessories and small items. You can put jewelry in here. You can put your lotions. I put my hair oil and face oil and some crystals and a few of my favorite things that I use in my bath every day.